Good morning. Like I said at the end of the last video, I wanted to do the return journey from Heathrow down to Dallas as kind of a long flight. It'd be kind of fun to overfly some of the US. And in doing so, I'm going to kind of chase the sunrise, as it were, or run away from it. We're starting in at about 6 a.m. By the time we get moving, the sun should be fairly well up, and then we should be able to fly into the darkness and then get there. I wanted to see what kind of liveries they had for the 747, but they didn't have any modern ones. I know the plane's not as flown anymore by things outside of cargo, but they could have put some of these other airliners on it, in my opinion. But I picked United. I saw a lot of United ones around. Departure path is going to be kind of interesting because we're going to take off and go hard right and loop around and then go back up over. So we kind of came in over Dublin, so we're going to go just south of it, which will be nice, and then we'll come out over the Atlantic, where I will probably skip ahead a bit, and then we'll overfly Chicago, which is nice, St. Louis, and then we'll come down into Dallas. And we're going to come in on kind of the standard approach for summertime, where a lot of the planes will come in on this northern side or come in over Wichita, and then they kind of come over and then they come down over the lake. So this is Lake Louisville, the one where I kind of turned around last time I flew over. So we're coming in kind of on the same one, and we're going to come in on runway 17 center. So we should have plenty of room to make our arrival and have a good flight. Operational ceiling of the airplane's listed as 43,100, so the system automatically put us at 42,000, so hopefully we won't have to change that. I wasn't sure where it allowed me to see it. Yeah, see, there it is. You can see it on the map over here, which is my range for the plane. Let me close out of this. So you can see the flight range for the fuel that I have on board, apparently. And so with 53, I have a good amount of distance, but I know I'm going to burn a fair chunk getting up, and I want to have a little bit of distance in there in case I need to do anything. So we'll be a 747 heavy with a 70,000, which puts my range pretty far. I doubt we'd carry this much fuel. Means I'm going to need a hell of a takeoff run, and I'm probably going to need more flaps than normal to get airborne, which does have me a little bit worried because of the fact that I've never loaded this airplane before. Let's drop this down to 60% fuel load. We should be fine with that. Well, color me disappointed the livery didn't load properly. I've got the United symbol on the back of the engines, but I don't have the pinstripes, so it looks a little bit incorrect. I'm also slightly annoyed by the fact that the weather is not what I selected, because I said 6 a.m. and it put us at 5 a.m. So let's pull this ahead here to 6 a.m. There we go. Alright, now again, this is my first time ever being in this aircraft. I have never seen it in game other than other players flying it. So I am not exactly sure what all I need to do or where all the buttons and panels are that will allow me to do what I need to do. So I know I need you. I would have hoped. Nope. So the Airbus is a lot easier. There we go. Standby power's on. Well, I thought this was a terminal, but apparently I'm just out here at parking, so that's something I'm going to have to look at for next time, because really doesn't do this big bird justice to have a rinky-dink little stair lift coming up to try and fill the plane, because that just isn't right or realistic. So yeah, all right then. So what I'm trying to do in here right now is figure out this autopilot. So I know these are displays that are going to tell me what I've got. I know my All that stuff. Thrust mode, that's fine. Auto throttle. Engine 1 is powering up. Zoom out a bit here. Let's get the power supply off.
Ground Boeing Uniform Alpha 747. I am done with power. .475 Boeing 747.
Yeah, it might be. I don't remember. It's a D something. Anyway. Alright, so this plane took off beautifully. I used most of the runway, but I managed to get it airborne very well. The thrust output of these four engines is, as I expected, phenomenal. I managed to turn pretty decently, keep a decent flight on. Thankfully, I'd armed auto throttle, so I didn't have to worry about pulling the stick back. It kind of took care of that on its own for me, which was great. and that made it a lot easier for me to deal with whatever was happening, because as soon as I passed a certain altitude, it automatically throttled me down and got me ready. And now that we're higher, we're already throttled back up. So definitely good to see on that. The flaps helped. It was kind of interesting to see the forward section under the wing there fold out like that. I didn't know that's quite how it worked. Alright, let's go ahead and start zipping off. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. I'm nervous for the landing, but this plane's pretty nice, so we'll see how it goes when we get to Dallas. Alright, well, I'm about to turn on the approach system. As you've probably seen from this descent, it did not go well. I keep fighting my controls. Let's see, I need to put you on the approach system. We're good on that. Okay, center's my one right here. Hopefully that's where we're headed. I was coming into the turn kind of where this video started when my game completely crashed. So this is the next day, unfortunately, and I had to recreate it, skip ahead to that part, and because of using this fast forward place and to get to, I went to the waypoint right before it and flew to it, trying to recreate everything that I had done before. But the game never gave me my descend call to get to flight level 220. So I scrambled when it said, please expedite your descent. And then ever since then, I've been trying to get to the right flight level and descend and do all these things that I need to do. But it's just not working out so well for me. All right, I'm going to go to approach mode now. I need to get this plane slowed down. Arm the speed brakes. Let's drop the gear. Alright, just flew over my old house. Alright, I'm spooling the engines up a little bit here now that we've got these flaps fully extended, which looks really cool. Getting down there. I hope the speed brakes deploy, but I'm not sure they will. Still doing alright. It's gusty a little bit today. That's why I think my throttle's bumping around a little bit, but we're doing alright. Seems to be taking me down a little bit low. Nope, get airborne. Don't know what that was about. Oh, this is a very sluggish plane. Yeah, we're gonna hit hard. Flare it, flare it, flare it. Too much flare. There goes my spoiler, so at least auto deploy worked. That's awesome to see. I want a mulligan because this flight ended poorly. We are going to use my full roll here. Just did, lady, just did. Oh, you bet I will. Alright, let's come down here and go around while I try to recap this flight. So, everything on takeoff went pretty well. I had a few issues with the plane. I did some Googling after I took off. And while, yes, the plane certainly... Where does it take me? Yeah, no. Certainly can handle flying super high. This game doesn't seem to have the right flight mechanic or model to allow that type of flight to happen. So the plane was struggling to climb up to 42,000 feet. So I kind of had to do some manipulation to get it up there. And then once I was at that altitude, things were okay. But I did do, again, some Google reviewing and research, and found that typically these planes will cruise at 35,000 feet and will push their speed a lot faster. So that's kind of what I did for the latter portions of the flight. I brought it back down and I went faster. So things were a little more realistic at that point. Not sure why this game makes it so difficult for these planes to get to the altitudes that they're capable of flying at or that they're being asked to go to. It just seems kind of odd that that's what they would do, but I guess that's the way they want to run it. Again, everything on the flight went really well, really well, until my game crashed when headed towards the waypoint where I turned the video back on and we did this approach. And I spent like 10 minutes going over all my controls, double checking everything to make sure that I had everything kind of back to the way I had it on the first half of the flight, which I got for the most part reconfigured. It was not a big deal to get my cockpit lights up, to get the landing and taxi lights and all that stuff back up, which was fine. But then, again, the AI ATC for some reason didn't tell me to descend, potentially because I kind of cut ahead where, I don't know. Because I was at 350, then they told me to go to 340. I got to 340, and then there was a problem with the barometric pressure. I got that fixed, and then all of a sudden, please expedite your descent to flight level 220. I'm like, you never told me to go to 220. So then I had to crank the slats and do all this other insanity to drop the plane out of the sky. I got it on approach, and then I think part of the barometric system, or maybe I literally just slowed it down a bit too much. I know these planes can't float as slow as the smaller ones because they're big, but I think in this case I just came in a little bit too slowly, and that's why the plane started dipping down, and I pretty much landed on that warehouse roof. Now I was able, because I had the throttles already up a little bit, to maintain some higher speed as I came around some of the areas. So it wasn't the end of the world for me to thrust up and I'd be able to move. Why is it sending me out there? No. I specified a specific gate I wanted to arrive at, and the game is sending me off into the boonies. So no, I'm sorry. I am not going there. I am going to go to the international terminal where I will park properly. Stupid game. I don't know what update they released, but something's gone funky with a couple of systems. But anyway, it was pretty good once I came around, but I was all over the place trying to get the altitude right. I really wasn't paying attention to any of the scenery of the flight. So the plane is fun. The plane flies well. I'm very pleased that the slats actually went out. The air brakes and the spoilers actually did their job. They're supposed to auto-deploy when I have all that configured the way that I do. And the fact that it actually worked when I hit the ground was phenomenal. That really helped in slowing me down. Even the Airbus, I couldn't seem to get it, even though there was an arm. There's a little pull that you can do that arms them. I did that on my great approach into Heathrow, and well, nothing happened. So not so sure on that front, kind of what happened, but hey, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But overall, I think the landing of this plane wasn't too bad, but being dark at night and all the other issues going on, I don't know how well it went. I think it was pretty poorly, if I'm honest. So I will do this plane again. We'll do maybe a couple cross-country flights, some other parts of the world that might be interesting to look at. I think are worth having some fun in. But as I've stated a couple times, I'm going to try to do some VR content now that the performance pack is out, and hopefully everything on that front's good. And then it'll be interesting to see, because with the A380, not the A380, the 320neo, sometimes on approach, why I still do these on the outside is simply because of the fact that it can be difficult to see over the dashboard here. I don't have the ability to lean forward so that I can see properly where I'm going. And I think that's going to be one of the main differentiators here that allows me to fly from inside the cockpit again on some of these flights. So all right. All right, this is the international terminal, so this plane would have arrived here. Typically the corner one off to my left, where that dinky little plane is where all the 380s land. Okay, I think I came in a little far, but not bad. We will cut the throttle. All right. Interesting. That jetway's broken. So, definitely some issues in this one. They can't connect me in, so not a big deal. Let's just do some shutdown. Wow, my FPS dropped here at the airport. I'm disappointed. I will come back to this awesome airplane because I want to do this again, and I want to see kind of what it can do properly. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.